a sudden, I found myself in love with the world. So there was only one thing that I could do, was ding-a-ding-dang, my dang-along-ling-long.
NASA's actually doing something after the space program, the shuttle program. I'm sorry. They launched what is called the Parker Solar Probe, named after Eugene Parker, a solar physicist who's now 91 years. Not Eugene, go for it, man. 91 years old.
I'm going to shoot something into the sun.
Yeah, he's shooting. He is shooting something at the sun. You know what's unfortunate as you read this here? He originally came up with the theory of solar wind in 1958. 1958.
Dang.
Which, for all intents and purposes, proved to be true.
They finally declassified it.
So they shot a probe up that's going to start feeding data back in December of this coming year. The objective is to study the sun's electromagnetic environment and hot-moving plasma.
Moving plasma.
Like my TV in 2005.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Hot moving plasma.
Move it, plasma. You're hot moving.
You guys are weird.
It's like my
You guys are really weird.
It's like my TV. I don't want a 4K TV. I want a plasma TV.
Okay,
Again,
Doug.
on the King
Thank
Queens,
you.
it's alive. He said my TV's alive.
Yeah,
It's got
well,
plasma to carry.
Carrie
It's
wanted
alive.
her diamond bracelet.
Oh,
not
he got a
the
plasma. He got a
TV.
plasma TV. So the objective is to study the sun's electromagnetic environment and hot-moving plasma, how solar winds accelerate into space, and why the corona is so much hotter than the surface, which I want to talk about. Material in the corona is about a trillionth that density of the surface, and temperatures can range a few thousand to a few million degrees. So essentially what happens is that, all right, so here's the sun, all right?
Helium, hydrogen, whole bunch
If you
of
see a
stuff.
solar eclipse, what you're actually seeing is this, I want to say Corolla.
Corona.
Well, I mean,
Corona?
I thought I would have had it wrong because it's the name of the beer. That's probably why they call it solar probe.
Put a lime in it.
Parker?
It is Corona. Parker.
It says Parker Solar Probe.
I know, but you're thinking about the Gold Rush kid.
No, I'm looking at the
Like
news.
Parker actually shot something out into space to
No,
find gold.
it's called Parker Solar Probe.
Look at that baby go.
I'm looking at
I understand. So there's the surface of the sun, and then there's the outer portion.
Sure.
The gaseous portion.
All right. So apparently the corona is one of the. You would think that something that is not closer to the surface would be hotter. That is closer to the surface would be hotter, i.e., the sun itself and moving into its core. But it's actually hotter outside. That's what they call the corona.
yes, you're correct.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And it's millions of times hotter than what's the actual sun's surface, which is astounding to me.
I'm going to pull out my astrophysicist hat.
Oh, I need you to put your tin hat on.
No, not the tin hat. This is the propeller one.
All right.
So the reason for that is because of the mass of the sun, because of the components that are made up in it. They're solid. It's solid matter. But when you get in the corona, it's gaseous. So gaseous by nature is going to be hotter, be able to burn at higher temperatures because of the fact it's gaseous, right?
Millions of times hotter.
Yes. Yeah, because of physical properties of a and I'm there's probably some other astrophysicist amateur that's going to like call me out on it, but
Fair
whatever.
enough. We're
But
just
that's
talking.
the basic concept. Is you have the mass, which is the sun, and then you have the corona, which is all the gases that are escaping, and those are igniting, and those are hotter. It just makes sense.
Well, so they obviously can't get close with a probe, right? It would just burn up. I wonder how far away they're going to be.
It'll be really interesting because I don't think they've ever done it, right? They've never shot anything at the sun to really say, what can we see?
What's going on up there, right?
Yeah.
So I guess they're shooting it towards Venus to grab onto the gravity and then shoot it back towards the sun.
Damn NASA guys, man, they're so smart.
Yeah, why Venus?
Slingshot that baby right off of there.
Grab onto Venus's gravity, and it takes about 6 weeks to get to Venus.
Really?
Grab onto the gravity and then be shot off towards the sun. Yeah, not that long, actually.
I wonder if they're going to do a bypass on Mars. They're probably not even worried about that. They're probably just worried about velocity at that point.
Yeah, so I think that, well, I mean, this is specific for, I mean, can you imagine how Eugene feels? I want to interview Eugene, too. Since 1958, so we're talking, what am I, 60 years. This guy came up with the solar winds theory back in the 50s. And just yesterday, I think it was, that they launched the probe. He's got to be ecstatic.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's 91 years old. I hope he lives until he's like 150 so he can actually...
So he can actually see it.
Well,
yeah.
sure, because if you put that kind of effort into something... well, go ahead.
What's Eugene's last name?
Parker. That's why it's called the
Oh,
Parker
okay. Got
Solar
it.
Probe. The objective is to study I think a few things. The winds that come off of it and the solar flares and so on and so
Well,
forth.
that's really the majority of our climate change on this planet is really revolving, no pun intended, around the sun. Because when the sun has high corona activity and all of those types of things, that is what really impacts our global temperatures.
What, that being a theory, what inspires the coronas to get suddenly so active? And, do you know? I mean, now I'm not saying we're not astrophysicists.
No,
right?
not by any means. But if I'm remembering, it's activity on the actual physical surface of of the sun. So when the sun is more active, it depends on the internal. So like when you look at Earth, Earth is, basically a shell, a hard crust around a magma interior, right? Well, the sun is very much the same thing. And basically, but it's not, it doesn't have a crust, right? It's like just a ball of magma that's working. Well, when you get into the depths of the sun, there's different things that happen. So like you end up with volcanoes like on Earth that shoot up and blow a bunch of stuff out, right? So same thing with the sun. The sun's doing the same thing on a different scale.
That's crazy.
It is. It's just
I mean, the
amazing.
universe in its entirety is just mind-boggling.
Let's call Carl Sagan.
Yeah. He put, when did he send that material out? Back in the 60s?
Yeah, it was the 60s and the 70s.
He sent some material out for extraterrestrial life to listen to.
Oh, that was the big probe, right? With the
It's still out there.
male and female. It's still hurtling out in space. Yeah,
Yeah, far away.
yeah. Well, did Sagan have to do with that, or was that? No, never mind. I was thinking of another dude. It was that crazy guy that did all the LSD. He was
Stephen Hawking?
no Timothy Leary. Timothy Leary. I think he had his remains shot into the space.
Engineer, help me.
Uh-oh.
I have a name,
Engineer.
Engineer lady. I'm sorry.
Door lady,
I'm sorry.
engineer
I'm sorry.
lady.
I'm sorry, Jessica. With a
Thank
G-
you.
With a G.
Is it with the G?
Yeah.
Oh,
Isn't
man, I
That's
totally
Jessica with a
didn't
G.
know that.
It's not a cool name.
There's no G. Did you say G?
Yeah.
Are you drunk?
No.
There's
I
no
thought your
G.
name
It's Monday.
thought-
It's Monday.
I thought-
Jessica?
He's tired.
Yeah, Jessica. That's how you pronounce
No, my mom's not ridiculous like that.
it. Jessica.
That would have been horrible. Thank you, Mom,
Gattaca.
for not doing that.
Jessica. Jessica.
Jessica.
That's just mean.
So I apologize, engineer lady.
Instead of muting you.
Jessica. As I get slapped.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just punch him.
I appreciate that. Thanks for
No
the
problem.
thanks for the support.
No
Second.
problem.
Thanks for the support. Second engineer lady,
That's our producer.
producer lady.
Producer.
Producer producing.
Yeah. produce something.
She gets a cut.
Yeah, apparently. I wrote a bad contract on that one.
100%.
Whoa.
I have to
Dang.
come here just to support her.
How do you even own busises with that kind of negotiating skill? Holy crap.
That's why he can only afford half a shirt.
From the Japanese store.